Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of MouseMinds. I must apologize up front. My microphone is making all kinds of weird noises and just started doing it as I was setting up, and I didn't have time to adjust it. So I don't know how. I'm assuming it's going to sound fine. I will try to edit out any static that you hear, but I don't know why it's doing that. So, um, but we are joined here this week with Luella, our favorite West Coast person.
Hi, everyone.
And Michael is on the West Coast. He's in San Diego right now, but he's tied up right now. So we will have him back on the show next week. And we are sorry that we missed you guys last week. But we are here this week, and we have exciting stuff to talk about this week. Lots of interesting things were announced today from Disney. I shouldn't say lots of things. There were things announced today from Disney that I would like to touch on. Plus, I think we'll also do a quick review of the new nighttime show at Universal, which is absolutely amazing. I'll give you a spoiler there. That is an awesome show. So we'll definitely look into that. And I also got a chance to um, take in the Epic Universe Preview Center this weekend. So we can talk about that a little bit too. And some of the things that are yet to come. And we've got more announcements coming for Epic Universe with Dark Universe announced and everything else. So we will talk about that on this episode too. And of course,
Well, it
Luella,
sounds exciting. I'll listen to that. I can give a little bit of updates here on the West Coast, and
absolutely.
we can start off with what was posted on Disney Parks blog. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, it is a pretty big thing. So we no longer have a Genie Plus. How does that
Well,
make it?
I think it was neat that they were being clever with the genie and everything, but I actually
Mhm.
found it quite confusing. Just it's
Agreed.
that, and then they did Lightning Lane. I think they're trying to be a little bit more streamlined. I think that's beneficial. But when Genie Plus was launched and the Lightning Lane, I think a lot of people were more confused than helped.
I agree. I think that Genie Plus tried to tap into um kind of like what we're seeing now with AI and large language models to try to help kind of plan out your day and kind of figure out where you should go next. I think is where eventually maybe they wanted to go with that, but I don't know if they got rid of it because people just weren't purchasing it or changed it because people weren't purchasing it and they thought maybe this new program would be more up everyone's alley. But you know, I honestly can't tell you on that one. I don't know what the numbers look like for Genie Plus as far as how many people are actually doing it. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I I mean, uh, in you guys have Genie Plus out there too, right?
We do. We do have Genie Plus, and I think the goal was to help plan your day. You kind of said what you wanted to ride.
Hmm.
Same concept. But then it got confusing of what you pay, what you don't pay. It
Hmm.
keeps saying it's a free service, but certain things were not
Yeah,
free. So I just think it made it so much more confusing. And especially if it's going to be your first time going to Walt Disney World and you're booking this vacation, it's already stressful as it is. And it didn't seem to, maybe for some people, but I think in general, it just didn't seem to probably be the benefit of what they were hoping for.
agreed. And the amount of planning that is required for a Disney trip is just astronomical, and it's so really like now that I have annual passes to other parks. I really see it more now than ever because I can go to a Universal and get a same day dining reservation at a City Walk restaurant, where at Disney or pretty much any restaurant that I want at, let's say, City Walk or one of the theme parks. Where at Disney, that's not really an option. And I understand there's a lot of popularity when it comes to restaurants at Epcot and things like that, and some of the character meals. I get that, but I really feel like it falls down to all this planning that everyone's doing, and everyone's taking spots for this and that and kind of planning out their trips. And, you know, that could be kind of a double-edged sword because, you know, you don't know what you're going to do once you get there. Things can change. And if the day of it's pouring rain, let's say, for example, and you just leave Magic Kingdom and you go somewhere else, yes, you do put a credit card down for reservations as a guarantee, so on and so forth. But, you know, are people going to cancel the reservations? What are they going to do? Like, if I'm leaving halfway through the day, I'm not going to go back just to go to my dining reservation necessarily. I may just stay in my room for the rest of the day. So the planning that far in advance, I think, puts too many unknown variables in there.
I
And
think that for some people, this is their once in a lifetime trip. And there's so much social media about restaurants and this and that. So in a way, I see people hoarding it. And I'm glad that there's a credit card deposit because I think before there didn't used to be. And people would hold on to these reservations longer than
mm-hmm,
as long as they could. And it's that's what it's become. It's become this Uber planning mecca
yeah,
vacation. So and then people that return, they want to grab those vacations. It's a supply and demand thing. I mean, I understand it'd be nice if we can go walk up and just put our name down and get it, but I don't think in this day and age it'll ever go back to that. Um, there's just too many people now that want to come, and you
there's
spend so much money.
there's too many people that are accustomed to doing it this way,
Hmm.
and that's fine, you know. But it's just it just makes it a lot difficult for someone A who doesn't know how to do these
Yeah,
things, or how they should do these things,
yeah.
and B for the people that come on a whim. And that's why where I think that, I'm very curious how these things go down in California because that being more of a locals park, uh,
Hmm.
I'm very curious how does that work out there, because of the fact that, people do, come after work or something like that and spend a couple hours. Maybe they want to grab that drink at Lamplighter Lounge or something like that, and they need a reservation and they just can't get it. Like, how does that work over there? What have you seen?
Yeah, well, I think that's why, like, speaking, well, if you're talking about Lamplight Lounge, that's why there's two areas to that, right? There's
True.
the
True.
restaurant and then there's the lounge. So at the restaurant, be great, you can make your reservation in advance, but the lounge, you line up. You line up and you put in your time and try to get seated. And so there are people that know to make reservations. I just don't feel it's as crazy as it is at Walt Disney World, having been to both and being a local. But at the same time as being a local, if I get in, great. It's if I don't, I can go next week. so that's what you have at Disneyland. A lot
But
of people like will just like, well, it's okay. I think before it used to be easy to get into Blue Bayou. Now it's hard. It's
mhm,
harder. I have to make my reservations, but I do know that they also reserve some spots that they don't give it all. I've known lots of people who walked in. Maybe they had to wait, but they
mhm.
walked in and able to get it day of.
Wow.
So it's not unheard of, but then you're gonna have to put in your time to wait.
I I feel like on this coast, the the I could see that working on your coast because you are mostly locals park. I don't think you would have a ton of people, kind of taking up spots and not going there. But I really feel like on this side, it, as much as I could have the attitude of hey, I can come back whenever I want. The
Yeah.
problem is every time I come back, these things are sold out. And I have to do so much work. I mean, the amount of work that it took me to get a reservation for 1900 Park Fair was pretty intense, for a dining reservation, in my opinion, having to sit there and kind of refresh, 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 refresh. And if it's a popular restaurant, that's just the name of the game. That's what you have to do. And it just, I mean, one of my friends said it best today. As locals and as pass holders, we are kind of jaded a little bit because we're used to the way things used to be and how they used to do things and how fast pass used to work. And but then again, it feels like, to me at least, some things are just kind of off limits unless I'm actually staying on Disney World property. Things like virtual queues. I
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I I would I in order for me to ride Guardians, I have to basically plan to have a whole free day where I can go to the park, because if I get in the queue in the morning, there's no telling what number I'm going to be. Where am I going to be in that queue? And when they call my time, I have to go. I can't, I have a window where I have to be there. So if it's not something where I can just pop in, wait in line for two
Yeah.
hours, and then
Yeah.
ride the ride, and it almost seems impossible to me because I just can't, I can't see I mean, I really have to plan, and it becomes like almost like a once a year thing because I have to take
Yeah.
a whole day and go there, and that.
Yeah. I understand that. I just think also, and this is my personal opinion,
Mhm.
you're not the target audience.
I'm not.
You know,
I'm
Walt
not.
Disney World is really, just look how many hotels you have.
Yeah, it's
Disneyland
true.
only has three.
True.
Disneyland has only three.
I.
So, oh, it's just, and it's because it's the demand. And I do
Mhm.
think that's unfortunate. I mean, part of, if you look at the new update with the Lightning Lane, who gets the earliest perk? It's
Yeah,
the resort guest.
of
It's the
course,
resort guest. They haven't ruled you out if you're not staying there, but
but
the resort guest is the one that has like the extra time, right?
and
And with only three hotels at Disneyland, the they can't. I mean, if they give that, it doesn't hurt anyone else really as much. um,
yeah,
who's not staying there, because it's, you
yeah.
know three full hotels. It's not gonna block everything like it
Mhm.
would there at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, it just, and I while I understand I'm not their target audience, I still
Hmm.
feel like there has to be a balance. There has to
Yeah.
be sort of a balance because you know, I don't wanna, like, be one of those people that shouts from the rooftops and say we spend tons of money in the parks and so on and so forth, 'cause there I mean, probably statistically, we don't. When you look at the numbers, we don't spend as much as, say, someone on a once in a lifetime week vacation who buys everything that Disney has to offer because we go more often, so we're buying snacks here and there, and maybe it evens out with the amount of times we buy snacks and eat at the restaurants and things like that. It's not something we always do, but it is something that we do. Um, but it's still like it just the when I look at the other parks and what I get offered as a pass holder to those parks,
Yeah.
it's so much more than what I get from Disney, and it's just maybe now because I consider a lot of the attractions at Universal to be somewhat on par with what Disney has to offer. And I
Mhm.
think they do have some really fantastic attractions. And I think Universal Creative and Imagineering could definitely go head to head. And they're definitely going to when Epic Universe opens. But I feel like pound for pound, when you put those two together, like you just get so much more. Like having on my annual pass the ability to have free express pass after 4 p.m. and being able to get so many attractions done. I mean,
Yeah.
the last few times I've been after 4 o'clock, I'm just going from attraction to attraction to attraction to attraction. I cannot do that at Disney. When I
Yeah.
take my daughter to Disney with me, 2, 3 attractions max in the whole day. That's it. When I
Yeah.
can do, and if the park's open till 8 in a 4-hour time frame, I can do 6 or 7 attractions. It's way more, and I understand I'm not their target audience. I get,
Yeah.
but it still is like it still
I can
stings.
understand that, especially if you remember how it was. But I think if ever, like with anything, if you want change,
You have to stop.
then you're gonna have to like stop, right?
You let go.
They're gonna have to see, okay, now we're not having as many
Yeah, of
pass holders and stuff. You know, that's because they have the technology to see that. I don't know how many,
course.
and they're not going to tell you how many pass holders they have. But is that loss like um, valid for them to make any change? And I don't think there's a loss there, to tell you the truth. I think the biggest complaint they've always had is the crowds. So
I
how do you thin out the crowds?
I think this year, I think the loss will matter
Yeah, and that's
because
what needs to be done. That's what needs to be done, right? So let it
because
happen.
I mean, I've honestly seen attendance at the parks in general across the board,
Hmm.
just based on me going to the parks, has been a lot less than it normally is during summertime. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a Florida thing. I don't know what it is, but you know, parks that were insanely packed last year are a quarter of what they were last year. I
But
mean,
I don't know necessarily, is it the crowds or the dollar amount that's coming in? And so of course they've increased the price, but are they getting the value, the money that they want with less
true.
crowds? That's what they want.
Yeah.
So with less crowds doesn't necessarily mean it's not Disney's not getting what they want.
Yeah.
You know, in the bottom line, you know, they're
I've
a company.
I've had that discussion with my friends. We've had this discussion numerous times about what type of income bracket is Disney going to go after? What is their key demographic? And it is that higher income bracket because they're going to spend a lot more in the parks. They're going to buy the extra add-ons. They're going to buy the dessert parties. They're going to buy all the things that we scoff at, like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. They're going to do all those things. Where someone like myself, I'm going to go in, use the parks. I'll eat at the restaurants every now and again. It's not an every time thing. And then I go about my life. So you're right. I totally get it. They don't owe me anything, but I do feel though the benefit to having the pass holders is the fact that they do pick up when the times are slow, and it does increase the attendance when the times are slow. And even if we're just all buying Mickey waffles or something on Main Street or in Liberty Square, I should say, that is revenue in the parks regardless. Now, is it an all year thing? No, but again, like it is filling in those slower times when there's not that many people there. So I do feel like we have some reason to be there, but again, you're
let
right.
me let me ask you this. Today was the first day for they call the Halloween party here in California the Oogie Boogie Bash.
Mhm.
Um, so today was the first day for the top tier, which is the Inspire Pass, to be able to buy tickets.
Mhm.
Only today. Tomorrow is the rest of the passes, and then
Mhm.
general is on um, Thursday.
Crazy
So
that you
do they give you that perk as a pass
no.
holder? Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. You can you get in the same you basically get in the same queue as everyone else. There maybe the hotel guests would have more time to purchase, but I don't think that's the case. I
Okay.
know I'm pretty sure 100% that it's the same across the board. So, it's not yeah, password. I mean, we we had a pass holder lounge for a little while. We have our discounts at certain restaurants. 10% I think it is now. It used to be a lot more than that. But that's fine. I'm not here to talk about the past, but uh,
Do
even though I keep bringing it up. But at 10%, and then we have our shopping discount, which is great.
you get
Um,
a magnet?
we do get a magnet,
Okay.
and people are crazy for the magnet because I mean me personally, I mean, I don't really care too much about the magnet. I mean, it's nice to have it to slap on my car. I used to like it when they'd send it to you in the mail, and then you'd have it, and then right there instead of having to go to the park to get it
Oh,
because
you actually have to get okay, so that we get it mailed to us.
oh yeah, we used to get that. Now you have to go to the park, and it's a massive event, and there's a line out the door, people,
Okay.
and you wait an hour, 2 hours to get your magnet, and it's just not. It's not that
I can understand.
exciting.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I think that you should take advantage of when you get the survey and
Yeah,
save something because you shouldn't be even if you're not the target. I mean, you're a target because you
yeah.
have, and like we get
No,
constant but I just think also maybe I don't know what your number is. Traditionally at Disneyland, there's just so much. So we're
yeah.
a loud voice, if we're a loud voice. So
I
I
mean,
don't know how the pass holder voice is there.
I feel like we're I feel like in terms of like actual dollars spent in the parks, I feel like maybe we're not a loud voice in that standpoint.
Mm,
But I feel like the pass holder groups, the pass holder, the amount of pass holders that are very vocal on social media, or then do the YouTube channels, so on and so forth, I think is very, very high. And I think that has a lot of pull on what people do when they come to Orlando, because a lot of people know like Tim Tracker or Adam the Woo or some of these famous YouTubers that go around the parks, Random Land Adventures, Paging Mr. Morrow. That I mean, I could keep naming people off. So I think in that sense, there's a lot of pull from that standpoint of that those people influence non-pass holder decisions. I really feel like they do.
mhm,
As a lot of them, um, Disney tries to keep them happy, especially the bigger ones. They have the big parties, they invite them out, they feed them free food and free drink, and for the most part, a lot of them are happy. But there are some that really speak their mind, like the Diz or Walt Disney World News Today, places like that that really speak their mind about how they feel and aren't really swayed by the lavish parties and things like that. And I'm not saying that the people, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that everybody who is a Disney blogger is swayed by Disney,
yeah,
but
no, of
but
course.
those people are very, they'll say what they mean, and they'll stand. I mean, especially Tom Corliss with Walt Disney World News Today. He's very he'll speak right up and speak his mind, and he has to a point where Disney has sent him notes, and now they've worked things out. But it's been interesting. But I think that speaks volumes for, because I think people look to these us pass holders, or not necessarily pass holders, but these people who post on social media for tips and tricks and what to avoid and what to avoid. And
Mhm. Yes.
I think that weighs heavily on their decision. And now I can't say that I have anyone specifically that I follow for California stuff. I'm sure they're out there, but I don't really follow. I mean, I know a lot of the people that I watch on YouTube go to uh, California, and the people that, I mean, I know a lot of people that do YouTube channels too that do the same thing, but most of them seem to mostly be based in Orlando, and
Yes.
do most of the Orlando stuff. But I think that weighs heavily, and I think that's another segment. I think that helps them get people in the parks. Plus, what is Disney gonna do when Epic Universe opens? Because
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big telling factor
yeah,
when that park opens up. Of course, there's a reason why it's called the Disney bubble. They want to keep you
mhm,
there.
mhm,
But I can't imagine, even if you're not a big Universal fan, not wanting to at least venture out there and check it out. And then and then fall in love with it. My kids love Universal. We
yeah,
still, when we go out there, we have to go to Universal. So we
of
don't
course.
stay our all our time there at Disney.
Mhm,
Um, so, but we're not annual pass holders in either park, so we're kind of like the target people,
yeah.
right? So um,
Well,
and it's a different kind of vacation when you're staying there from sun up to sundown.
mhm. And I think Universal too, just where it's located, is not really if you're just I don't think a lot of people plan trips now just to go to Universal. I think Universal's trying to change that with Epic Universe and trying to create this bubble for Universal to keep them in the Universal parks. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that, and we can talk more about that later because I have some stuff that I've been told about annual pass holders in Epic Universe. So we'll talk about that later too. But they're not really a bubble because they're kind of in the middle of town. So there's all these
Yeah,
attractions that surround Universal, and I think people that do Universal vacations do go to those attractions around town. Maybe they're more inclined to go to a SeaWorld because they're at Universal and it's kind of close by to Universal. It's not, like Disney where you get dropped off and you're bussed everywhere and everything is, this and that. And you're right. You don't leave that bubble. It's not the same experience. So, it's just, you're right.
hmm,
The bubble is real. People definitely live in that Disney bubble, but with Universal, I just don't see them being in the bubble as much. I see them kind of branching out. Even with Epic Universe, I can still see them kind of branching out. And I know they're trying really hard with the way this park is designed to keep everyone inside there. But, you know, the biggest thing that I think Epic Universe is going to do to Universal is it's going to be very interesting to see. And I've had a lot of discussions with people about this week. It's going to be very interesting to see what it means for the other parks at Universal because you have to realize that Epic Universe is probably about, with traffic about 10 to 15 minutes away from the other Universal parks. And it's not like a straight, there's a road that connects, but you kind of have to leave Universal, go into the city, and then go back into Universal.
yeah,
So with them having the hotels right on site at Epic Universe, that's going to change things because then people are going to start booking vacations to those hotels and only going to Epic Universe because they don't want to leave that small bubble that's there of Epic Universe. I could totally see that happening.
yeah,
Um, because they don't have like at Universal now they have the water taxis that will take you from resort to resort into the parks, but they don't necessarily have that with the Epic Universe. So it's very interesting to see. I was kind of mapping out in my head the other day if it would be possible for them ever in the future to buy up all the land and just make their own water taxi from the two
mhm.
parks. I don't ever see that as being a possibility because there's a
Probably not. That it's probably because now the dollar amount for those
yeah,
lands is it's just.
of course.
But yeah,
But
I think all this competition is just who benefits is us. We
yeah,
benefit
agreed.
because now they're going to try to one up each other, and we're the ones who
Agreed.
benefit. It's going to be awesome. Yeah.
But I will say this as a pass holder in Florida, I will say it, be prepared, especially with Universal, because what I've been told or what I've been hearing is that there is a possibility that there will not be annual passes when Epic Universe opens. There will not be annual passes to Epic Universe because of, partly
Demand.
because
Yeah.
the demand.
Yeah.
They want to keep people at the other parks, keep people in Universal and Islands of Adventure and Volcano Bay. They want to make sure people go to those parks. So we may not. It may be a year or two before, if before we even see uh passes to those parks. So I was, I didn't think about that. That was kind of part of the reason why I purchased my annual pass. Now, of course, I don't regret purchasing my annual pass now because I'm having nothing but fun at Universal. But that was part of the reason why, because I wanted to prepare for Epic Universe, and it was something that I could possibly add on in the future and then go to the parks. But apparently that's not the case anymore. So, or
Hmm.
may not be the case anymore. Who knows? But yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So, you know, it you know, it's just one of those things with pass holders. I mean, you're right. It's supply and demand. It's getting people in there that are going to pay the most money, and Universal knows that they can get that money out of the people that are staying on property at Epic Universe. I mean, those hotels they have there are gorgeous, and I'm sure they're going to cost a pretty penny to
Hmm.
stay at when they open.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so back onto the Lightning Lane situation. So we have the new Lightning Lane, which is very interesting, and I have the details up here. Um, so uh, I guess this is starting July 24th.
Yes.
So we will have basically a Lightning Lane multi pass, which allows you to make
Mhm.
up to 3 Lightning Lane selections in a theme park in advance of your visit. You can do it 7 days in advance if you're um for your entire stay. If you're staying at a Disney resort, any other guest can plan up to 3 days in advance. So, as what if I remember correctly, or I'm looking here, there is going to be tiers for the attractions. I
Okay.
did see that somewhere. So it'll be like tiered based, like you'll only get like one high end attraction, and then you can get two, like one e-ticket attraction, and then it goes from there. I did read that somewhere. Why I'm not reading that here? Hold on one second. Let me see here. But that's what I did read. Someone did say that it was tiered. The rides will be tiered.
That's how it was before, right? When I
Yeah,
can't
that's
remember
how.
what it was called, like years ago, when there was different tiers, uh, so that not
And then
all of your choices go into all the top rides.
yep, and then of course you'll have your Lightning Lane single pass, which will be just basically what Lightning Lane is now, which is you purchase a
Hmm.
$20 fast pass to Tron, and then you can ride Tron, so on and so forth. So I would imagine what they're going to do is not all of the attractions will be available on the multi-lane Lightning Lane. Most of them will be, but there will be some that will be reserved for the Lightning Lane, like say Guardians or Tron or something like that.
Hmm.
Newer attractions and newer high end attractions or e-ticket attractions will be reserved for that. And then of course we'll go to Lightning. Now, my thoughts on this, I really feel like as much as this kind of feels like them going back to the way things used to be, I kind of feel like Disney is kind of skirting around the bush on this and not trying to create a system that doesn't necessarily upset people and like get people enraged, because I mean, go look at the all the comments on this. You have people that are for it, people that are against it, people that are saying, well, we'll wait till we'll see what the price is. It's a mixed bag. um I think they're trying to create something that people will be all for, and kind of dancing around the issue. Honestly, if it was up to me at this point for Disney, what I would do is I would just create a system much like Universal has or SeaWorld has. Just kind of rip the band-aid off and just say, hey, listen, we have two options for fast passes. You can get our Lightning Lane. You can buy one that's unlimited. You can do as many Lightning Lanes as you want during a day, and you can only do one at a time, but you can keep doing it. And then you just pay a set fee of $100, $150 for the day. And then you have one that allows you to do one attraction or one Lightning Lane per attraction, and that costs X amount of dollars. I honestly feel like that is, to me, the more perfect solution, because then I don't have to plan. I don't have to necessarily plan out my day and say I'm going to go to this attraction, this attraction, this attraction. I can just
Mhm.
show up and get on that attraction. And then basically what Disney will do is only sell so many tickets, or lightning lane, multi lightning lanes for the day, and then go from there. That's what I would like. I think
Uh-huh.
that mean honestly, like if they did something like that, I wouldn't not necessarily be opposed to paying for that type of, if I really wanted to just have an all out day where I could just go on a ton of attractions and I wanted to splurge a little bit, I would not be against paying for something like that. The multi-lane lightning lane, I have been told that with this system you will be able to see what attractions are available before you purchase. So it's not like you go in there blind and you don't know, because
Mhm.
that was one of my concerns too, is what if I purchase it and nothing's available? Then
Yeah.
what do I do? I'd be furious. So apparently you can see what's available before you purchase. I'm curious how many things are going to be left available, seeing as us pass holders only have a 3-day window. But I think I would prefer, something like what Universal has with the Express Pass. Just have
Yeah.
all rides have.
Yeah, it's nice to, those were nice days where you just didn't have to plan like down to the second,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just enjoy the parks for what it is. So, um, you know, it'd be great if it could be like that, right? Just have a limit. If you can purchase this, maybe. But I don't think you can make everyone happy. It's
That's true.
you please some people and then you piss off the other people. Was that someone saying there's no other way to piss off someone than to piss off like a Disney fan or something? Like Disney fan is like the biggest complainer.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my god. And please don't, please,
yeah,
I want to preface everything that I say that I'm only saying these things because I have a platform to talk about them, and
yeah,
I understand how greatly, um how, number one, how we can be jaded as pass holders, and number two, how lucky I am to be able to have passes in general. People like in the Midwest are like, hey, just be grateful you can go, and that is true. But in the same regards, if not having access to certain attractions, having to jump through hurdles, I guess you could say, to get a virtual queue to, uh, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, it stings, especially when it's part of what I'm paying for. So it definitely stings a little bit there. So, but I do understand how lucky I am to be able to make these comments and to have these opinions.
yeah.
But again,
Let me ask you this: would you prefer to line up for hours though? I mean, I remember when Hagrid's first came out, people were lining up for 10 hours
I
versus
mean,
there was
Hagrid.
a virtual queue, and then you're not going to get on or you're going to get on. It's like they, like damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know?
So with Hagrid's, so Hagrid still has no express pass.
Mhm.
It is the one of the few attractions at Universal, which it makes no sense because even Velocicoaster, which is newer than Hagrid's, I think it's newer than Hagrid's, still has express pass, where Hagrid's does not. I'm assuming maybe they didn't have the space to put in the line in the queue, or I don't know. I don't know why it doesn't have it, but it doesn't. So you still have to wait it out. Now it does, normally, at
Okay.
least this summer, it's normally had about a 60-minute wait. That's about the normal wait for that. And absolutely, I would totally wait in that, because I personally find that when attractions have, this is just my personal preference. When attractions don't have any sort of lightning lane or fast pass or express pass or whatever, I feel like for me, and maybe this is just my brain tricking me, but I feel like the line, although I'm waiting the same time, it's constantly moving, so I don't notice it as much because there's no one else like cutting in front and going down the other side, and they're not letting 20 lightning lane or express pass people on before they let me on. So I don't know. It just I when Seven Dwarfs Mine Train opened, when it first opened, they didn't have a fast pass or lightning lane for that. It was like the day and it just opened and people were waiting in line, and I waited, an hour or 2 hours for that, and I honestly didn't mind because the line kept moving, so it didn't bother me as much. So I mean, sorry about that. I honestly don't think I would mind that.
I think the purpose of the virtual queue is only for rides that are extremely new, and they know that the
Mhm.
lines are going to go way past 3, 4,
Of
5
course,
hours. They don't want that. So you hope when the ride kind of dies down and everybody's ridden it, that the line they don't need to do the virtual queue anymore.
of course.
So
My only complaint about the virtual queue is there's they only open the queue twice a day, and it's not like if someone doesn't show up, there's a way to get into the queue. If a bunch of families don't show, and I mean, I'm sure that over a day's time, the one or two families that are the you know every 10 minutes or so, there's probably one or two families or three or four families that don't show up to the queue. That adds up. At the end of the day, maybe you have some extra space. I don't know. I don't know how you would work that. I don't know how you would do that. But what happens when people don't show up and then, they took a spot that you could have had? Because I feel like the virtual queues are such a frenzy right now because they fill up so fast that people just do it to do it because they're told that it's like this thing you have to do, and who knows if you're gonna even, some people may not even know if they're gonna want to ride the ride. They just get in it to get in it because if they don't, they won't get that chance, and they have that fear of missing out.
yeah. So what are your thoughts now on this new lightning lane multi-pass? What are your own personal thoughts?
Well, I mean, personally, I think, I understand why it is. I mean, let so I'm gonna hold out until I see the price. If the price
Okay, the
is
price. Yeah.
astronomical, then maybe it's
What's
some.
a good price for you? And we'll see.
I mean, what's a good price for me is not what's a good price for Disney. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I paid $30 a couple of times for Genie Plus. I didn't necessarily want to do that, but I did it. And you say $30, and yeah, but if you have a family of four, then that adds up quickly. So now you're spending 120. Um, so I I mean, I guess $30 would kind of be my max. I mean, I
Mhm.
can't really see spending more than that for the Lightning Lane multi-day. I would prefer if it was 15. If it was 15, I would do it a lot, but they also have to price it in a way that, doesn't create a lot of interest so it keeps those lines down. The whole point is making it somewhat exclusive, and if they lower the price too much, then, everyone's going to try to go for it and it'll sell out quickly. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, for me, since I would go there as a vacation,
Mhm.
it comes with pictures. And that's a kind of for me as a mom, that's an important thing for me, like that photo perk, the attraction photos. And so, and since I'm only there for a finite time, time is money.
Yeah.
so I'd say $30 is a good amount.
Mhm.
30 would be good. I wouldn't say that's my maximum. I'd probably cough up to 50.
Where did wh so I don't so they said it comes with PhotoPass?
Yeah, here, when you purchase a multipass, you can enjoy photo perks. Receive
Oh,
digital downloads of select attraction photos. Yeah.
that is okay. So
Yeah.
then that's more like the system they used to have at Disneyland, which I loved.
Yeah. Yeah.
because you got photo pass too. I could totally see that as a family traveling for the day to have that on there. That is a nice perk. That does increase the cost a little bit because if that's one of the things I will say. If you have the photo pass, that is an awesome thing because you can really take advantage of it because there are so many photo pass people around the parks, especially like on Main Street, where you can really, and a lot of times, I feel like the guests at the park don't really utilize them as much as they could or should. And I mean, I've literally had situations where I've had cast members, willingly or are exciting, get excited because I'm like, hey, let's do a photo shoot. Like, let's go to different spots around Main Street and kind of do photo shoots, and they'll
Well,
do.
I'm reading I'm reading it. This is from the Disney World website. It says
Mhm.
receive digital downloads of select attraction photos and
Uh,
videos from your day. So I don't know necessarily if it's all the photo pass, but from what it sounds like here, it sounds like certain attraction photos.
for the ride photos.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe not all. I think it remains to be seen when it's totally launched. But I remember receiving that Dwarfs Mine Train. I really loved that video photo. I thought that was
Yeah.
fun. Surprised about it. So who knows what else is added? But I think that's a kind of a inexpensive way to kind of add it onto a
Hmm.
benefit of the multi, uh, pass experience, right? Hey, let's just throw in some attraction photos without having to buy the whole. Like you still have to buy the whole photo package.
Hmm.
So, they still want to make money. Yeah.
Well, I remember when they used to sell CDs, and you would buy the CD and
Oh
just had
gosh.
hundreds of photos on it. That was a long time ago.
Hmm.
But
So,
so let me ask you this. So, you being on the West Coast, I mean, where do you think this is gonna sell more? Do you think is it gonna be something that goes crazy on the West Coast? Is it more of an East Coast thing? What are your thoughts on as far as that?
well, in the parks blog, and they talked about it going, Disneyland Resort will also use a multi pass and lightning lane feature. I just kind of feel like if I'm just going on my own, I'm not going to purchase this. But if I have someone from out of town, I
Mhm.
always tell them you should get Genie Plus. You should do this, just because, I even if it's going to tack on another $100,
Yeah,
it's just the time and I really equate time with money.
yeah.
Would you rather wait in line, or would you rather ride 3 rides in that time you're waiting in line?
Hmm.
So I wouldn't do that on my own. I wouldn't do that if I'm just going to the park, but I would definitely do it if I have someone from out of town and I'm expecting a sun up to sundown day. you know
Yeah,
I would only pay that money if I'm going to be there all day. Now if I'm only going to be there for lunch and I'll ride a ride, oh no. I'm
yeah,
not going to pay for this.
yeah.
There's no way.
It's something that it's when it you I can totally get that. If you're with someone and it's their once a year trip, then
Yeah.
yes, it makes more sense. But if you can do those attractions anytime. So if you're popping in for a couple hours, then what's the point? And I definitely feel the same way. I just wish that they would, just I I just like the way the other systems work. I think I can see them charging maybe like 30 up to like $50, maybe 30 to start for this and then $50 per person up to $50. I think that would be kind of the max. Who knows? It may be the same price as what the other parks charge, which I've seen can, go almost as high as the ticket prices. So who knows what it'll actually cost when it's all said and done, but it just depends, having I think the thing that kills it for me is having that not having the same access window as everyone else. If it's something extra that I pay for, I feel like I should have the same access window as everyone else because I'm not paying any less than anyone else. I'm just not staying at a resort.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
So
For you.
we'll move on from that. I will leave it at that. I've ever since I saw that news, I was so excited that news came out today on a Tuesday because I was like, oh my gosh, I have to talk about this because I have thoughts. Um,
Uh-huh.
so moving on from that, I want to touch real briefly here on the new nighttime show, which is at Universal Orlando. I just premiered like a week ago, and I actually know people on the creative team that helped create the show. I actually ran into them the night that I saw the show at the show.
Mhm.
They were the whole creative team was there that did the show, and I told them it was a great show and everything, and it really is. And it's an amazing show. Uh,
Okay.
one of the things we're seeing right now is drones are becoming a big thing. We have the nighttime electrical or the electrical parade in the sky at Disneyland Paris. We have
Yes.
the new Dreams That Soar show at Disney Springs, which I happened to catch as I was driving past Disney Springs on the interstate, and
Uh-huh.
I drove past Wally and Eva were embracing each other in the and I was like, "Oh my god, how is there not accidents here?" Because seeing that from the
Yeah.
highway, I couldn't take my eyes off. I was like, "This is awesome." Um, but the focus on these shows has mostly been um the drones and doing the special effects with the drones, and they're really good. Like Dreams That Soar is a great show. The drones work perfectly, but it's just the drones. There's no other elements to it. Um, the thing about one of the things I like about Universal is when they do their shows, and Michael Leo and my friend Jason McManus, who when they do these shows, they really try to pull at the emotions. They really try to get you, tug at your heartstrings, make you feel things because that's what movies do. We hear certain film scores, certain music, and
Oh yeah, it's all storytelling. It's that's
ex-
what it is. It's not just throwing something out there. It's about,
exactly.
tugging at your heartstrings and feeling a connection to what you're watching and then making a memory.
And one of the things that they say at the beginning of the show is, with just a few simple notes, you can feel, I'm oversimplifying it, but you can feel a certain way. And and they said it a lot more eloquently. No, I can't say that word. They said it a lot better than I could,
Mhm.
but or I did. But there, it's true. It really is true. You hear like these notes, and you just get excited. And that is what this show is, and it is just downright incredible. And it is the thing about it is it's not just drones, although drones are a part of it. It's a mix of World of Color, drones, and a fireworks show.
Oh wow. Mhm.
And the way they do everything together, you would think that, going into it, I thought it was going to be very drone heavy, but it's not. And then you're like, well, if it's not drone heavy, then it has to be water heavy. And although a lot of it is water heavy, there is a lot of water effects, and they do projection mapping onto the buildings. That's another element of the show too, projection mapping. It's not like there's not one thing that stands out over the rest. Everything works together in harmony. And you'll be looking at, I'll give you like a little spoiler. So you'll be looking at, you'll hear the Ghostbusters music come on, and you'll be looking at the water, and they'll be projecting, a scene from Ghostbusters on there. And then all of a sudden you'll hear the music change, and you'll look up, and there's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man just floating
Mhm.
in the air. And then you'll see a couple fireworks go off. And it really, like, the way they did the drones, almost it's just it's so subtle but so epic at the same time because they did it perfectly. Everything is timed perfectly to where it doesn't feel like it's a drone show. It doesn't feel like it's a water show. It just feels like a show you've never seen before. And going from hearing uh hearing songs from Ghostbusters, and then going into Back to the Future. and going into Jaws and hearing and just going through that scene and then hearing Donna Donna and then you know what's coming and it just
Mhm.
there's so many emotions that come out during that show. It's actually incredible. You know, you have to see it to truly understand what I'm talking about
Oh yeah,
because
I think nighttime shows you really need to see it.
yeah,
There are a lot of people that are able to record that and post it, but it's something different to actually be there. And I think that's the goal. That's what they want you to do is to come there and see it live and then and enjoy it.
agreed 100%. And I feel like with this one, it's so amazing to me how they can, how you can just, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but Universal has this way, even with their previous show, where they can just make you feel so many emotions about, what's happening just through the music, just through the little projections, just through everything. And it's really awesome to see them continue with that and create something that is truly epic. And I will say one of the things that I noticed throughout the show too is, you always figure with a Universal show, when are they going to play the famous Universal notes, the famous Universal intro, dun 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 dun, that whole thing. And I kept hearing, and I have to watch it again to confirm this, but I kept hearing that kind of being played throughout the show. Like they would kind of hint towards that and then change to another song. And then finally at the end, they did that, and it was just like this. You'd been waiting for it for so long, and then it finally happened, and everyone was cheering when it came. And it's the most stupidest thing because it's the intro to the movie. We've seen all these movies, and it's an intro to these movies, and yet here it is now. It's happening in front of us, and everyone's cheering for it. And that's what this show does. That's what this show creates. It makes you excited about Universal movies. It makes you excited about being there. You just had this amazing day at the park, and it's just that amazing nightcap to that. And I honestly feel like out of nighttime shows, it is definitely the best nighttime show in Orlando, hands down.
Nice. Well,
I
I'll have to
I
see it
think
someday.
yeah, you definitely have to come and see it. Plan a trip to come to Orlando. Well, you're gonna come for Epic Universe anyway,
Yeah.
so you come. But I definitely feel like when it comes to just nighttime shows in general across the world, I think it's one of the best that's out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
It really is that good of a show. So it'll be really interesting to see you know the people's reactions. Everything so far has been extremely positive. So once everyone gets to see it, it'll be interesting to see the reactions. But and it'll also be interesting to see too if it's one of those shows, because a lot of times with shows like this, they you see it once and you get really excited, and then you see it two or three more times and it kind of wears off. I don't think I
Mm-hmm.
just that is the type of thing with this show, because it's those movies will always be timeless. So seeing them over and over again and hearing that audio, I think it'll be pretty amazing. So it'll be one of those shows. I think it'll be one of those shows, much like Electrical Parade is for me. Every time I hear that music, I just get goosebumps, and that's so that is just
Well,
absolutely
very
incredible.
good.
Yeah.
Very good. I'm a big my favorite movie of all time is Back to the Future. So anything with Back to the Future, I gotta catch.
Oh yeah. And it's definitely in there. The DeLorean is in the sky.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, my daughter was so embarrassed by me when the DeLorean came out, because I was screaming. I was like a kid again. It was incredible. Yes, that is on my top 5 as well. So I totally get it. So I'm excited for that. And then just to finish out the show here, I will give us a. I did go to the Epic Universe Preview Center, and they have these amazing models in there. If you have with your smartphone, you can do the augmented reality and use their app to kind of animate different scenes on the model. Like when you hold your phone over the Mario Kart attraction, it shows Mario going down Rainbow Road, like on top, floating on the attraction on the building. So there's some really cool like things you can see there. It's really awesome. It like automatically takes pictures for you every time you scan into one of the augmented reality things. But it's really awesome, and it got me even more excited for Epic Universe. This news that we got this week with the Dark Universe and having um the the monsters and everything else with that. It is just it is it's just going to be really awesome. I think we're really in for something amazing here, and I can't wait for it to finish. I can understand why um people would want to uh why they would have to restrict passes,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's going to be very 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 busy there, because it is going to also, and apparently they're going to have a drone show too, so it'll be very interesting to see what that looks like. And I there was something posted yesterday that one of the famous composers for movies is for the monster movies and all kinds of movies, is actually doing the music for Dark Universe. So they're really like sparing no expense when it comes to this park. So it's going to be awesome. Please keep your
Yeah.
eyes out when we
Yeah.
get that opening
It's
date.
gonna
Start planning your trips.
Yeah, yeah. Well, have you been to Nintendo World? I don't know. Here in the West, have you
I
been?
have not, but my
Okay.
brother,
Okay.
he went out there a couple months ago and did go there. I have not though. What are your thoughts on Nintendo World? Have you been?
I have, but I think I don't know if I've mentioned before. It's at the West Coast. It's very different because it's a true working studio that happens to have an amusement park there, and it
Mhm.
wasn't meant to have an amusement park, so it's very tiny, and you they can't do everything that they wanted to imagine, which is why I think Epic Universe is going to be the put all the other rides that they can't fit in the Hollywood Universal. It's just too tiny. It's smack dab. Same with Disneyland. It's smack dab in the middle of a suburb,
Yeah,
of homes. There's homes on the but to get a little taste of it, it's you know we enjoyed it.
I think well, do you guys have, you just had the Mario Kart right out there,
We
right?
just have the Mario. It can't fit
Okay,
anything. There's
there's
sound
no,
studios
yeah.
right next door, actual working sound studios. It's a studio. That's why it's called Universal Studios. It's an
Cool.
actual studio.
Well, that's how it got started, as a
Yeah.
studio.
And it's still a studio. So
That makes sense. So
yeah.
we'll have, based on the, because my daughter's very excited for Super Nintendo World. But based on what I saw, or what I saw there at the preview, we will have the Mario Kart ride. It looked like the Yoshi ride, which they have
Mhm.
in Japan, and then we have the Donkey
The
Kong.
Donkey Kong, yes,
They
yeah.
have the track that you basically fly, you jump from track to track.
Yeah. So it's exciting. It's
It is
exciting.
it's very exciting, and seeing the model, like, and seeing everything in front of you, it really makes you appreciate how big that park is going, how big that's going to be. So it it's going to be, as they say, epic.
Very
All
good.
right, so I think that's gonna do it for this week's show. We definitely appreciate everyone that joined our live show this week and watched with us live on Facebook and YouTube. We certainly appreciate all of you for listening with us on the podcast every week. We post live at 5 p.m. on Friday. We post the podcast, or it goes live at 5 p.m. on Fridays. So make sure you check that out on your favorite podcasting platform, wherever you get your podcasts at. You can definitely check that out. But yes, that being said, I think that is going to do it for this week's show. We certainly appreciate you guys again, and as I always say, if you can dream it, you can do it. And Luella, did you have anything to say before we wrap this up?
No, just stay cool. It's a hot summer, and and see you next time.
And if anyone asks you how hot it is in Florida, just know that I have annual passes to every water park in Orlando. That's how it is in Florida. I don't know how we got here. I think I get out of the car and then it's so hot I just gravitate towards another water park that I don't have passes to. But fortunately now I have passes to everyone, so I don't have to buy anymore. But yes, it is very hot. So stay hydrated out there. Enjoy your summer, and we will see you at the parks. And I apologize. Ooh, my mic is so bad tonight. I don't know why it's doing that. I apologize for that. I will. We will see you guys again next week. All right. Bye now.